Yeah. A little, you want to do a little torping and soplar?
Yeah.
It's crazy. Torping and soplar.
Whom called us it that?
The guy who, this Australian dude, the guy who first invented changa. He's this crazy Australian psychedelic head, and he's the first person to come up with the idea of changa, which is like a smokable form of ayahuasca.
It's more of like a smokable form of DMT, I would say, which is ayahuasca, but like DMT is like, oh, you want to put in a crack pipe, and I mean, you could technically smoke it on a bowl, but with changa, it brought me to the same place. It was just so much more gentle. Like DMT was like, oh my God, my throat is on fire and it's distracting.
Harsh. Yeah. But this dude, he on his YouTube, he talks about it, torping and soplar, and it's like, shoo, shoo, shoo.
You hear that people doing that in ayahuasca ceremonies?
You hear people doing it in ayahuasca ceremonies all the time. I picked it up from ayahuasca and I use it for my day to day, but it's just like a way to like scare off like anxiety and demon spirits and stuff.
I don't know if he thinks of it like this, but we were working with Kurt on those music videos. Kurt Vile. You know Kurt.
Celebrity musician.
Yeah. On those music videos last year, and we've been working with him on some other things, and he just always goes, whoo! Yeah. And I think of that as, whenever he does it, I think of it as torping and soplar. Like, whoo! Like moving the energy. He just, is always like, whoo! And I kind of do that sometimes.
Yeah, you do it when we go to do a meditation, or no, it's actually not meditation. It's when we go to fall asleep at night. I hear you over there, and it's like it'll be silent for 10 minutes, and then I hear you go,
Yeah.
And you've told me, you're like, that's when an anxious thought comes up.
Yeah, it's almost like my body is trained now. Like when I get overwhelmed before I go to sleep, where every fear, regret, whatever anxious thought comes in, and I'm just like, or like, that's not even right. That's not how it goes. It's like,
Yeah, it's exactly that.
And it's just like my body just being like, don't go there. And it really helps ground me.
It's so cute.
I don't I don't really realize it until like after it happens, and I'm like, oh, of course.
Yeah, when I hear it, I'm like, I'm just thinking, oh my God, Cass is over there going through it.
Sometimes I'm like, it sounds a little sexy when I do it. Sometimes, and I'm like, just so you know, like.
But that's why I know what it is, because you were like, hey, don't think I'm over here jacking off.
Yeah, well,
because we keep separate beds.
Yeah.
So God knows what goes on. Once the lights go out.
It's true. I have jerked off over there late in the night, because it's like sometimes you have to do it to go back to sleep.
Yeah.
You're like, all right, I just gotta rub one out so I can like.
That's incredible. That's great. I don't go throwing my seat around like that.
No.
But
all of us have that luxury.
If I was a woman, I would be taking full advantage of being able to jack off as many times as you want.
Yeah, I'm surprised I don't do it more, considering that women have access to it all the time.
Yeah.
But it's good to keep it special. Did we start this podcast? Are we even recording?
Are we recording? Fuck it. We're doing it. We'll do it live. I'll write it myself. I hope my voice sounds okay. I was at a bar last night.
Yeah, you sound great.
I haven't experienced that in a long time. Than just hanging out at a bar and losing your voice because they're blasting, "Hey now, you're an all-star. Get your game on." Like literally, they played that song like 4 or 5 times.
Did you think someone was fucking with you?
No, I just thought, I was like, they have like 5 songs on repeat in here. And
yeah.
Yeah.
So just to finish, because I feel
please.
I feel like we should talk about that we sleep in separate beds.
I do. We talk about our divorce.
It started with separate comforters.
Yeah. It started. The relationship started with a queen size bed with separate comforters.
It started with one comforter.
And
then we were like, this is crazy. Because you would wake up kind of upset with me. You didn't have a great night's sleep. I pulled the blankets.
Yeah, you always pull off the blankets. And I said, let's just try a practical solution to something that actually could weirdly like affect our life, Affects your everyday. Yeah, I didn't sleep that good, or like I had restless sleep, or I was freezing all night because I didn't have a blanket on me. So it started off with 2 separate blankets. Which is wise. I think it's very... It was very wise. And I didn't even realize how wise it was until I started doing it. I'm like, I had already been in relationships for like 15 years before you. And I'm like, why didn't I do this before? Yeah. Simple thing. Separate blankets. And then anytime we'd go to like an Airbnb, like a lot of times
we'll stay with a crew or something, and a lot of times we'll take the room with 2 twins.
Yeah.
Not always, but depends. But sometimes we're like, oh, this is nice. And then we're like, wow, we got the best night's sleep.
Yeah.
And then,
that's how it started. Like, we go on a vacation or something, and it's like, oh, there's like, a bunch of different. We're not in a 1-bedroom apartment in New York City. We could sleep anywhere. Like, yeah, let's take a chance to get some moments away from each other.
Oh my God! And sometimes I'll go. We booked a hotel. I don't know, a month or so ago, and they were like, oh, I'm sorry. Like, we went to the king room or the 2. We always buy the rent room that has 2 queens.
Yeah.
We're like, all right, this is how we do it. And then once we went in, the room hadn't been cleaned, and they're like, I'm sorry, all we have is a king. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, this is...
You're like, do you realize I have a policy with my boyfriend to keep our sleep very platonic? Do you realize he's going to be so mad?
I was scared.
No, but a king-size bed qualifies is what we're saying. Like, yeah, you need a king-size bed if you have a partner and you want to share a bed with them.
It's true.
It's true.
It's true. But now you have a queen.
It's evolved into... I have my Tempur-Pedic bed that I bought at a Brookstone in the mall for $3,500 20 years ago. It's still going strong. Tempur-Pedic, it was a good investment.
Yeah.
That was a fucking solid investment. And we used to share that bed, but now we have an opportunity where I can have that bed and like there's a little space in between and then you're on a single bed.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's good.
As we've gone 12 years strong.
Yeah.
And we love each other more than ever.
We do.
We have a great relationship.
Yeah.
And
we're doing better than ever.
We
have a great relationship with Mare as well.
Yeah. And she sleeps in your bed.
I share a bed with her.
That's your one compromise, is that you have to share a bed once in a while.
When we're up here, I share a bed with Mare. When we're down at her place, like, Mare's the best.
Yeah.
She really is the best. She hooked it up. When we go down to her place in the Lower East Side, she took our old king bed and put her queen bed on top of it. So she sleeps on like a stack of beds.
Like Princess and the Pea.
Yeah. Yeah. It's beautiful. It's actually really kind of magical and cool. And then when we go over there, we take the queen bed and put it off to the side. And so she's down on the floor on a queen bed and me and you are up on the king bed.
Because we like the fan.
Yeah, because there's a fan above it, These seem like silly, frivolous, like little things, but like it's these minor adjustments that like help your mood so you can have a sustainable relationship.
I swear to God, people get so rigid that they have to sleep in the bed with their partner, and then they just complain, oh, my partner snores, oh, my partner steals the blankets, oh, my partner does this.
Can you imagine?
It's like you should not get frustrated at each other about something that's not important.
Yeah.
Like, if anything, it's probably good for you to sleep in your own bed,
Yeah. Imagine having our own bedroom. That's where it starts to get a little weird. I will say,
I'm
for
open
us.
to it.
I know, and we've done it before.
When we slept here before we lived here, we would sleep in separate bedrooms.
Because we're on top of each other 24/7.
When we go to my mom's, we sleep in separate bedrooms.
We do. And it's really cool for us, and I think it's sexy and it's good. But in my day-to-day, every day, I feel like it's good that we wake up in the same room and basically just like start our day around the same time. We wake up, we meditate, we do our sex. We fucking drink a bunch of water, and then we present ourselves.
I don't drink a bunch of water.
I do. You don't. But it's a small thing, the separate beds thing, but it makes a fucking big difference.
Yeah, if your partner frustrates the hell out of you, I would try it.
Imagine having a partner that snores. Like a lot of people do. All my guy friends snore. Anytime I've shared a hotel room or anything with them, I can't sleep. And they're over there just having a loud-ass great sleep, and I have to listen to it, and it's insane. It's fucking insane.
That's where separate bedrooms would really come in handy.
It would be necessary.
Yeah.
Are you fucking kidding me? So, yeah.
I don't know why I felt so compelled, because I feel like there are people who are waking up every morning so frustrated.
And maybe not even know why.
Yeah. And there's simple fixes.
Yeah. I also think it's like... we're around each other all day, every day. Neither one of us like goes off and does, so it's like, it's okay. We do some things like to feel
there's no like questioning, like, when you're secure in your bond, you don't have to do weird gestures.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Like have kids. No, I'm kidding.
No, it's true. It's true.
No, I'm so proud of people that have kids. I was out with, a couple friends last night, Jack and Julie, shout out my people. Those are my people. And like, they're my age. Julie graduated from same high school. same grade and everything. Jack's a couple years older. They're really cool, but they're like my age and have decided not to have kids. So they're very refreshing to hang out with, you know, because it's like now we're at an age where it's like, oh, we're really doing this. We're really not having kids. Like, and we're all just sitting there. We're like, our life is fucking rad. It's so fun. We get to do whatever the fuck we want. We get to travel. We have extra money. You know, we just get to do cool things.
I swear to God, so in high school, I felt rich because I was like, I had girlfriends who were buying like designer bags for $400 or whatever.
I don't have that affliction.
Yeah, and I was like, I'm rich. And then when I stopped drinking, which was like 23.
That was a big one for us.
We used to drop like, easily a couple $100s at the bar.
Easily.
Because you buy drinks for people and
between
whatever.
$200 and $400 a night out in New York City with your friends, and for some reason everyone's letting me pay for everything. You know, classy.
Well, you were a hot shot. And so when I stopped drinking, I was like, we're rich.
Yeah.
Like we're saving like at least $200 a week.
Yeah.
Because we're not drinking.
Yeah.
And now I'm rich because I don't have kids. And I'm actually not rich, but you know what I mean? Like there's the abundance mindset. So yeah, there's this thing where people have kids and I'm like, damn, you're raising the next generation. Like, it's fucking amazing.
Like
mad props.
Mad props, because everything I'm talking about is like very selfish. And I think people have kids for selfish reasons sometimes too, but really it's not that selfish. It's like,
no, you're giving your life over to a little one who needs love, support, security, safety, routine.
Your life will never be all about you again.
And that's probably a good thing.
I think it's a necessary thing. I think, especially for, I don't know, I can only speak for dudes. You know, you get to the age around like 30, 35, and it's like, you need something to come in and just like make your life not all about you, you know, give you a bigger sense of purpose. And, you know, I think a lot of people need that. A lot of dudes need that. And it's a good thing for them.
Oh, yeah, yeah. And we have to actively work hard to not just go into our life being selfish motherfuckers, and we'll see what happens.
And we have to actively work hard to like supplement the growth that comes along with having a kid. You know, and really be intentional about that and figure out how to keep growing and keep expanding our hearts and that kind of thing.
Yeah, pray for us.
Pray for us.
Oh, gosh.
We were up late last night having a good download.
Yeah?
Yeah. I think that's another thing that's necessary from time to time. Not in any drugs, nothing like that. No, like, hey, let's throw on a show, let's put on music or whatever. Like, let's just sit here and talk.
Take stock.
Let's take stock. And
that's how it felt.
It was so nice to, open up communication that didn't feel offensive or defensive or shame and blame based, or just like, hey, let's assess our feelings. Let's assess how we go through days. Let's assess how we treat the people in our lives. You know, let's assess where our relationships are at and where we want them to go, and
set good intentions.
Yeah, set really good intentions. I think it's a necessary thing. Yeah, that was really fun. It was good because I feel like we got to challenge each other in a way that didn't feel like anyone had to get defensive or anything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I appreciated it because I feel like you were calling out behaviors in me that I'm like, I know that are there. And then you were just like, hey, I'm going to just shine a light on them. And like, these are not, it's, you framed it in a positive way. You were like, you're really good about this and good at this, but I see you not doing it in this way. And like, why aren't you being compassionate in this way or whatever? And kind of like saying, you have these qualities in you. Where are they?
Yeah.
In this particular circumstance or whatever.
Yeah.
And it was a good way for me to like think about it and see where some of my, walls around my heart are, you know.
Yeah. I think it's hard to self-identify. I think that's why we use chemical portals a lot, because it becomes very obvious. You know, you become self-reflective in a way that, like, I don't think we have that much access to on the day-to-day.
Yeah.
Or it's not even necessary on the day-to-day.
Mm-hmm.
But, to just open up, like, cool, I want to evolve. I want to be a better partner. I want to have more fun on the day-to-day. You know, I want to have a grand vision for how our life should feel and how to tap into our happiness and how I want to treat everybody.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, it's good because it's like, You know, we get on here and we talk shit, and I basically the point of the conversation was just like, let's live in alignment with like who we think we are. Let's really put it into practice, and we do. We're good about that, but it's good to have a reminder every now and then.
Yeah, no, it's not always fun to hear the ways that you're not living in alignment, but I'm great. Like, I wouldn't want it any other way. You know?
I see. I don't even get that hung up on that. I'm like, oh wow, an opportunity to grow a little bit and to change, and you know, that's been a big project of mine. At least the last 10 years, throughout my 30s and into my 40s, is like, how do I evolve? I don't want people to be scared of me. I don't want people to, you know, be skittish or like just the things that you naturally do to defend your heart space.
Right.
You know, it's good to be made aware of those things so you can make adjustments.
Yeah, and for me it was like I always never thought I was, but like can be kind of shut down.
Yeah, it's interesting. You definitely have those two modes. And like sometimes you go into sleep mode.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, and I fucking do it all the time. I'll purposely turn off my love light, and like I don't think anyone deserves that. And, you know.
Know who doesn't turn off their love light? It seems.
Who?
Pam Anderson.
Yeah, we watched a documentary about her.
Yeah, I was like, I mean, I always loved her. She was like one of my early female crushes. I used to watch Baywatch for her.
Yeah.
Like, I was definitely watching Baywatch for Pam Anderson and no one else.
You were having lesbian feelings at a young age.
Yeah, I didn't really know what they were. I just was like, I was obsessed with her.
I've never seen anything like it still. And it might just be the age I was when like she hit the scene, but I'm like, it like just the definition of a sex icon, like just exudes sex and sexual energy. And it wasn't really put on. She's kind of actually like that. She's a hopeless romantic. She's been married 6 times.
I love that about her. And
I do too. At first, that like, you know, when they're in the documentary, they're talking about like the first couple marriages and the third one, and you're like, this is ridiculous. But then you start to get to like 5 or 6, and you're like, this is fucking awesome. Keep this going.
Well, I don't get the getting married thing because I just don't relate to that as someone who's never been married or wants to get married.
It's a huge symbolic gesture. It's the most like over the top romantic symbolic gesture you could do.
Well, I get it because like I remember when we were like a few years deep. Like, I think we were lying in bed and I was like, I just want you to know that I want to tell you I want to marry you, but I don't actually want, like, I would marry you. Like, it was like, I want to express how deep my love is for you.
Yeah, you're my person. Like, that's it, you know. And
yeah, like, and saying I want to marry you seems to be like taking it to that level, whether or not you actually do it.
Yeah.
But getting married when you've only known someone for less than, after my first relationship, that after 3 years, I was like, oh, there's like chemicals. And I was like, oh, and you really get to know someone after 3 years. And then, I mean, after 7 years, you really get to know someone. So I kind of just came up this rule like, oh, well, I definitely won't marry someone that I've been with for less than 3 years.
Well, you're still on a chemical high. Like, it sounds like a long amount of time, but it's really not in the grand scheme of things.
No,
and you're high on oxytocin for the first 3 years.
And love is like my favorite high. Definitely.
Of course.
10 out of 10 would recommend, but
yeah.
Yeah, I feel like Pam's like a love addict.
Yeah. Yeah. We know people like her. It's interesting to watch like a celebrity have that and like you know, going through her life and relationships and just be like, oh wow, we actually know people that are like addicted to love as well. And not necessarily like addicted to the kind of love that we have for each other, but the feeling of just like, wow, like just that new sparkly thing. It's like one of the best feelings in the world. I could see how people get hooked on it, especially if you're like a beautiful babe who has your pick.
Right.
Yeah.
If you're Pam Anderson.
Yeah.
Very intoxicating.
Very intoxicating. You know, it's everything about her, just the level of integrity. Like, oh my God. She's never seen her sex tape. She's never made a dime off of it. That fucking series that they made on Hulu with Seth Rogen about her sex tape and her, it's called Pam and Tommy, I think.
Yeah, it was
She's never seen it. It was great. She's never seen it. Like, she's just like, I think it's disgusting.
Her sex tape is great. I'm embarrassed. Like, I'm like, that's not. Both my parents were like, oh, we never saw that. Like, you don't watch something that someone didn't want to put out there. I watched it once.
I get that now. I've seen it a million times. It might be the thing I've jacked off to the most in my whole life.
Well, after I watched it, I was like, that is the hottest porn I've literally ever seen. Or porn, like sex tape or whatever.
Yeah. I hate to say it because it's stolen property, but...
yeah, but it's like, they love each other.
It's real. They're deeply in love.
It's
and
they're real.
They're freshly married, and like they didn't know each other for that long.
Yeah, when I used to watch porn, like, I don't know, 10 years ago or whatever it was, that's what I would always want to watch, like amateur, like homemade.
Yeah, of course.
Like,
of course.
I mean, I guess we're documentarians. It wouldn't be that surprising that would be what
kind of... Yeah. When we both used to watch porn, we had the same taste.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
that was our bonding too. We were like, oh, yeah, we have the same taste.
Yeah. I was like, I can't do this porn shit anymore. It's not good for me.
Yeah, it probably really is not good.
I mean, it's awesome in the way like donuts are awesome.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You really want to like get your body used to that. You really want to get your body used to it to the point where you're needing that, you know? Because you know what's this sounds so lame, but you know what's really much more awesome than porn? Your imagination.
Right.
It's pretty fucking rad. And I think, like, if you're going to say, all right, I still got to jack off, but I don't want to use porn, I feel like your creativity could increase in other places in your life. I really do. I'm not kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you're high when you're watching porn. You know, it's like, I don't know what the chemicals are, but they're getting released. You're high.
It's a dopamine shot, you know.
Yeah.
And that's what love is too. Like, you're getting like little endorphin bursts, you know, every time your person winks at you or whatever.
Yeah. It makes life so much more exciting. It's like the best thing we have going.
Yeah.
Is that we can, even though we're all the same thing, you know, even though I know you're just a reflection of me, like we become enamored with each other.
I know.
It's so cool. It's so weird. And it's very much like beyond our control. And like I've said this before, I think that's why they call it falling in love.
And it's so weird because when you fall in love, you have to like play it really cool, or you like you fumble it or whatever it's called.
I'm glad we didn't have to do that.
I know.
I'm really glad we didn't have to do that.
If you can fumble it with the person, they're not the person, is kind of what I'm realizing.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, if you can over express your love in a way that scares someone off, they're not the right person for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, so simple.
I asked you to be my girlfriend in the first 5 minutes we met.
Yeah.
You know, and I still to this day, I'm not kidding when I say like, I don't even feel like that was me. It wasn't even my, like, it was just something that like just came through my body because I've never done that before or since.
It's funny because when you did it, I was like, he says this to every girl. This is hilarious.
I was married. I had no business saying that to even you, let alone anyone. And it's like really, I don't know, something came over me and I was like, whoa, this is like a higher force than, it's nothing I can control.
Yeah.
I've just met my person and I'm falling for them. Like it feels like a gravitational force that I can't really do much about. And luckily, I think we conducted ourselves pretty good for people that were falling in love in not the most ideal situation. I think we conducted ourselves pretty good. Not with the highest level of integrity at all times, but...
Definitely. But like my bar of integrity is low, obviously, if I'm watching the Pam Anderson sex tape. So.
Everyone was watching the Pam Anderson sex tape. That might be the most watched porn of all time.
Yeah.
But really, I wouldn't be surprised at all. It's the Bible of porn.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you think of, well, I mean, there's like Deep Throat and Debbie Does Dallas and like these like iconic like 70s, but you had to go to a movie theater to fucking see that. This was available on the internet. That's how I saw it. It was on DVD and then it was available on the internet. And if Pam Anderson would have just signed a contract, she would be so rich beyond your wildest imagination, and she didn't do it.
I respect that. That's like kind of
I do too.
Super respectable.
She has principles.
Yeah, I think that's what matters more.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, thinking about love, it's so funny because like our whole like the artistic business runs on love, but it also runs on heartbreak. You know, like all the music we love is like for the most part, like some element is either falling in love or heartbreak. And I don't know, would you think the proportion of love songs to heartbreak songs, what do you think the proportion of love songs to heartbreak songs are?
Wow. It might be equal. There might be more love songs.
I think there might be more heartbreak songs.
Yeah. It's interesting. I mean, we could probably find that out in some way. That'd be an interesting thing.
But is there a difference, like love and heartbreak? Aren't they kind of just like two sides of the same coin?
Yeah.
Like your ability to feel deeply and yearn.
Yeah. It's the two sides of the same coin. It's being full and being empty.
Dionne Warwick's did a lot of. I'm talking about all the documentaries we've seen.
I knew you were gonna do this. It's okay.
I can't help it.
It's all good. You can throw out random ass fucking. You could say anything, and I'll try to riff on it.
Okay.
So, all right, we'll do this. We'll do it live. I'll take a little dab.
Okay.
How's that? And I'm not mentioning the name of the company who makes this fucking thing that I take dabs from. I'm not mentioning any more companies unless they pay our ass.
I know.
I think everybody should have that.
Get money, get paid. Speaking of which, we're going out of town soon, but we have these shirts and we got a second printing because we sold out of a bunch of the sizes. So if you are wanting a Mare Design Church of Chill original shirt, which is literally my favorite, most comfortable shirt ever.
Oh, look at this.
Yeah. And you want some designer jeans from Joey. This is the shirt, and it's available in the description below, but hopefully you see this before we're out of town, because...
You're being uptight right now.
Okay.
Order a fucking shirt and we'll get it to you.
Yeah.
They're really awesome. And we're going to try to just put out like a new Church of Chill shirt like every couple of years, and this is the second iteration. I'm very happy with them.
Mare's the best. She's already designing other designs, and I'm like, damn, that's so good.
I know.
How did we get so lucky?
I know. I fucking think about that all the time. I used to think Mara was crazy for wanting to do this with us, but then I'm like, I have to settle into like, we're cool. We're fun to hang out with.
Well,
we have a lot of the same interests.
Remember that TikTok I showed you where this guy's like talking about Aquarius in the 7th house, and he's like, I'm feeling like throuple energy, people who don't want to do a traditional relationship, and me and Mare both are Aquarius in the 7th house. So that's Leo rising people. So if you're Leo rising, you probably need to find yourself a throuple.
Really?
Yeah.
What am I?
You're Capricorn rising.
What's that mean?
I don't really know. I pay
no
more.
cap.
I think. I don't really know. I don't know as much about your astrology as I probably should. Or at least rising sign. I'm not even sure exactly what my rising sign means.
Mare knows too much,
Yeah, I rely on her.
Every one of my behaviors, she could pinpoint to something in my fucking house of goddamn whatever,
Yeah.
And it's cool because I think it's part of the reason. I think her understanding our astrology is part of the reason we've gotten this far. Because it does bring online a lot of compassion.
Yeah. She's like, oh, I knew you'd be an asshole today, so.
Yeah, it's fucking crazy.
I knew this last couple years you'd be a broke-ass motherfucker.
Yeah, the whole time we've been together. I'm like, Mare's with us, and she's not even like...
We used to be ballers.
Bawling.
We used to be
we'll get back to it. We just had to fucking get a little bit of a reset. But yeah, Mare's been with us entirely in our non-bawling phase.
Yeah.
She's been with us through making movies with unemployment money, and fucking just trying to drag our broke asses around to make music videos and shit, and like just doing our best. But like, she has no idea. Like when we're popping with commercials and shit, like it'll be very special.
Calling it back in.
Yeah.
I kind of like this period of more austerity. Not even fucking hating.
We do good in that, or at least I always have. When I'm at the top of a mountain that I've been struggling to climb for a while, there's a very uneasy feeling about it.
Right.
We've experienced that together.
Yeah.
And I want it, and maybe it has to do with thinking I don't deserve it, or I didn't earn it, or whatever. But There's something very strange about accomplishing your goals. It's a very weird feeling. Like, wow, I did that. I'm doing this.
Right. But it's also like really good to feel like, oh, it's on me. I have something to work towards. Like, you know, I got to show up and put effort into this thing so I can achieve my dreams, you know, and and also just like there's so much potential. You kind of are getting high on like, okay.
Yeah.
And then the results, like you can see the results. And then once the result happens, you're like, okay, how do I not cling to this?
Yeah.
Or rest on this? How do I keep seeing the distance? Because life is not like a rival. It's a period of becoming, you know.
Life's a journey, not a destination. Tell me, how hard can you fly with broken wings?
What is that?
You know that one?
No.
It's Aerosmith.
Oh. Maybe I just didn't hear your rendition of it. Didn't come through clearly enough for me.
You don't know a lot of Aerosmith songs. It's okay.
I do like Aerosmith when I hear them, though, sometimes.
Yeah, they're pretty fucking good. They're one of the, like, you know that saying, don't bore us, get to the chorus?
Yeah.
They're the defining band of that. They'll start a song with the chorus. They'll start a song with the hook of the song. It's smart. They have a lot of hits because of that.
They're really fun to listen to.
Yeah, totally.
What's their biggest hit?
I mean, from your lifetime, it's probably like that Armageddon song, the song that was in the movie Armageddon. I can't remember it. But, you know, so Sweet Emotion. Walk This Way.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, whatever.
Sing that one a little bit. Walk This Way.
Yep, they're a great Boston band.
We're like obsessed with Boston bands right now.
Yeah.
We kind of had a moment where we realized like there's like a bunch of bands we like right now that are Boston. And I had never even thought of any of them as Boston bands besides we were like, oh, let's name a band from Boston. I was like, well, Boston. And then I couldn't go further from there. But then you were like Dinosaur Jr.'s from Boston.
The Pixies, Morphine.
Yeah, Pixies, Morphine.
Aerosmith. The Modern Lovers, Jonathan Richman.
Yeah, those are some heavy hitters.
Those are fucking heavy hitters. For a town that's like, look, I think that there's other cities that, like, if I had to choose American cities to, like, say I can only listen to bands from this town, I don't think Boston would make the cut, but they make a pretty good argument for their population. The amount of good music that's come out of there is pretty crazy.
Yeah, and you just don't think of Boston as like an art. I haven't thought of Boston as like, oh, an artistic hub, but you know, when you put those bands in a room, you're like, oh shit.
Yeah, when I think of Boston, I think of like
they might
higher
even
education.
Take something on Seattle, you know.
Yeah, in the sheer amount of, like, because we could go on, we haven't even looked into it. That's just off the top of my head. These are the bands that I know that are from Boston.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty rad. But what were we saying right before that? I'm sorry.
I don't know.
I started singing, "Life's a journey, not a destination." We're talking about achieving your goals and the feelings of that and everything.
Mm-hmm.
It's just to say, it's like you think it's almost like, and I fall into this trap, and I hate other people falling into this trap of I'll be happy when.
Oh yeah, I always say that.
You know, like, yeah, and I get into fucking huge swaths of my life where I'm treating my life like that, like oh, it's gonna be so much better when it's gonna be so much better, and it's like you can actually pull that into now and have a great time, like doing what we're doing, like brick by brick, rebuilding our business and redefining what kind of artists we're gonna be and figuring out how to be more sustainable.
You really want to enjoy.
I'm very happy doing this stuff.
You really want to enjoy the process is what we realized.
Yeah.
Like, if the process of making these movies isn't fun, like, we're on the wrong track. And I think you've really helped hold the line with that, especially. And I think it's worth sharing because I think anyone who's in an artistic pursuit, like, your art is infused with the journey along the way.
Yeah.
And
yes,
I think what you're really good about, holding me to, because I'm not as disciplined, I guess, in the vibe. Like, I think I hold a pretty good vibe, and sometimes I can hold it better than you. Like,
oh yeah.
But that said, especially like with these films we make or whatever we're filming, I think that's the best example. Like, I'll get stressed, like, because my job is to produce and make sure everything's going perfect and, you know, think ahead and worry about what could go wrong. But you always bring me back to, like, you're like, it's not worth it if you're like a stress mess.
Yeah, none of it.
It's not, but you're also infusing this project with, like, you need to hold the highest vibe, like, here in this moment. Like, it's not just when the cameras are rolling, it's everything around it.
It's even more important, actually, than when the cameras are rolling.
Yeah. And I think that it's been a really good reminder for me, and it's been hard, but also, like, I can be kind of a control freak. It's like my job to control things sometimes. Yeah. So I can kind of, like, you can get, like, very whimsical and lover and creative and, like, be like, and we should do this and we should do that and it'll be like this. And I just, like, I'm, like, running through the fears in my head or, oh, what happens, you know, and all this stuff. And you're like, no, like, the next project we're doing is wild magic. Like, it should be magical. We should be calling in all the support and all, like, and whenever I feel like that uptightness that I get in my body when you, like, have a wild idea that I'm like, oh, I don't know if this is, like, logistically feasible or something.
Oh, yeah, I know. I can feel it. I as I'm saying it, I'm like, oh, man, you're running through this, like, you're running it through the logistical program. Like, this is whimsical time.
Yeah. But I've really, like, appreciated, because I do feel like it does get into the final product. And what we like to do and the art we like to make is not precious.
Yeah.
And I think that requires, like, shedding preciousness along the process.
Yeah.
And I think that's where you, like, as a director, really are good at holding the line of, like, you're directing from the first second. You're directing me as a producer.
We're already directing Wild Magic, even though we're nowhere near filming it yet.
Right.
Because, like, if we were making narratives, it's like you can fucking manipulate a lot of things. And what we do, it requires very little or no manipulation. The manipulation we're doing is showing up with a certain vibration that we inevitably just see people respond to time after time. I used to be weird and superstitious about it. Like, why does this keep happening? How come we were able to catch these moments? How come we cross paths with these people? And then at a certain point, I just kind of accepted. It's like, oh, it's us. It's what we magnetize. It's what we need. It's what the universe is presenting to us to do something with. And so you just kind of have to have the day-to-day discipline to, I guess, be in the mindset of what you would want to see come out in your art. Because I think we both know when it's bullshit, especially with music and movies. It's like, that's the shit we're most attuned to. I could feel someone's fucking bullshit the second the song starts or the second the movie starts, you know.
Well, that's why, like, we're so, like, attracted to Ween, you know. And music that's not too self-serious, like music that's fun and light and just playful, and it's, like, literally my favorite stuff is when I'm like, oh, this is silly as hell, you know.
I used to fucking really, when I was a much more uptight, self-serious person, I was so against all that. It just was not my fucking cup of tea at all. But as I've loosened up, our art reflects it, but just also our tastes, and, you know, the stuff we're attracted to, and, like, Ween coming into our life, like, is to me as big as mushrooms coming into our life. Like, that's how much art affects me, and that's how much, like, art that I really dig can help me start to evolve in a different way. And, like, I just can't even tell you. It would sound so dorky to sit here and to go on and on about, like, how much that just discovering that band.
It's funny, we didn't even plan this, but there's Lacey painted us the Boognish.
Thank you, Lacey. It might not even, did Lacey's one of her kids do this?
No, her kid did the dragon. Lacey did that.
This is and when
powerful symbol.
It's a powerful symbol in our life, and it's a symbol of wealth and power, and creativity and freakiness.
Yeah.
But it's interesting, the whole process, and I think we're lucky to get to be humans, and, like, at least for me, very much like I'm half a goon, half a god, And you have
Is that someone else's saying? Because that's good.
That's some Devo. Gates of Steel.
Oh, okay.
Half a goon and half a god. A man's not made of steel. A man is real.
Well, that's kind of like what we're talking about, like with love and heartbreak, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like, and the hardest part may be close to impossible. It's like you can accept when you're sad, and I'm not saying the point of life is to not ever be sad or heartbroken or whatever, but how, like, and I think that's what artists are so good at, is like taking the heartbreak and like turning it into like a rose bush.
Yeah.
You know, and just utilizing it, and that's like,
that's what we're doing with documentary. This country is heartbreak.
Right.
Everywhere you go, it's just heartbreakingly real and heavy, wrapped in the most corporate, sterile, weird fucking environment you could possibly do it in. And it kind of fascinates me to go out into that and try to show that, like, oh, this is actually a rose blossoming. And just doing that through various angles and playing around with this medium. It's like, that's me being a god, you know. And then my other half's a fucking goon who's a fucking fool that you have to put up with, and I'm all over the place. And, you know, I know I have both parts of that in me, and I kind of respect it. You know, I can feel when I'm being a goon, and I can feel when I'm being a god. And when I'm being a god, I always come back with like, that wasn't me. I don't know what that was. I don't know what came over me. I don't know how I did that. You know.
When you're being the goon or the god.
The god.
Yeah. So you do take more ownership of your goon side than your god side.
Well, it comes over me, and it's like a palpable, physical, very visceral feeling.
The god or the goon?
Goon hand rising. You know, I'm like, because it's weird. Because when I'm not in my goon mode, I can't imagine being like that.
Yeah, you're like, what could I even get upset about?
How could I ever get upset at Cass?
Yeah, I'm an angel.
Yeah, how could I get upset or frustrated with my parents? Like, every moment with them is a gift, you know. But when I become a goon, it's crazy. I'm like, here it is again.
It's so funny. You get up.
What the fuck?
It's so funny because you, like, with your parents, we go upstairs and you're like, I can't do it every morning. Like, it's yelling, it's everything. And then you go up there and you're the one yelling.
I know.
I'm not trying to give you a hard time.
No, it sucks. It really sucks. It's like the only acceptable form of communication in this house. Because you see me calmly for months try to get a point across about mellowing out the vibe. And I think the way we're attracted to chill, and that's like our home base that we're always trying to get back to. My parents are like that with conflict, and I don't think they realize that. And I don't think, you know, so it's really hard to, you know, go from chill into like their more conflict-driven personalities, because if there's not immediate conflict between them two or my sister, they'll go out to the family, start thinking about the family, and then if it's not in the family, it's in the extended family. If it's not in the extended family, we better go out to all the tragedies that are happening. Did you hear so-and-so's uncle's best friend died? You know, like that stuff. And if it's not that, if there's nothing there, then they'll go out to world news, and there's plenty there. And so it's just this mode of constantly being like fight or flight mode. Like your fucking nerves are shot, and it makes for a more reactionary person. And I do work to not be that way. When I go and I'm outnumbered up there, and the only thing that they can't hear my God mode. They can't hear it. They only understand goon mode because they're in that all the time themselves. Because they're so attracted to it. I wouldn't even say attracted to it. They're addicted to conflict, and they don't know it, you know? So it's really hard for me to bear witness to this and try to make a difference that I think will help everyone in this house, including Caitlin, who has epilepsy, and epilepsy is based on a fucking fear and a stress response. I'm like, we should mellow it out here. We should mellow it out here. We should mellow it out here. We should fucking mellow it out here. You guys are fucking insane. You know, like, it's crazy.
Well, I think it's kind of cool that the basis of the Church of Chill comes from like a response to things not being
childhood.
Chill.
Yeah, it's just a response to my childhood.
But it's like, that's the half goon, half God. It's like, a tree only reaches up to heaven if its roots reach down to hell. That's Carl Jung. It is all this like balance of understanding the darkness and so prioritizing the light, or whatever.
Yeah, and like knowing that that is the state that I thrive in is when things are chill, and that's where I'm creative, and that's where I'm a leader, and that's where I can be a visionary. And so, like, let's name it. Let's call it the Church of Chill. Let's set up an enduring monument to a chill vibe that is it's created by a group of people.
Yeah.
It's not us. It's a community of people who are like stoking this incredible fire.
Yeah, I had a little like glimpse of like, oh, some of the stuff that we've wanted to do for a long time, I can see it getting closer. And
yeah, I know.
Try not to judge.
Yeah.
Because I feel like, oh, there's so much stuff that we've wanted to do for so many years, and I'm like starting to feel it get closer.
Whoa, it's happening.
It's very exciting.
Yeah.
And I'm glad. And that's kind of like the reminder of like, okay, hold your highest intentions and don't judge how or when it happens, but just trust that if you continue to work towards something, it will happen. And I'm kind of starting to get little sneak peeks of like, oh, some stuff we've wanted to do for a long time is starting to feel closer.
Yeah.
And that's exciting. But also I just want to say like I'm a half goon, half god. So are your parents. Like your parents are like the most loving people, kind and generous people I've ever met. And we're like, yeah, you're frustrated and you're their son, so you're getting like triggered and can talk about the craziness.
Yeah, a lot of childhood stuff comes up, but like you're more objective and you see their light and their beauty and their love, and they take really good care of Katie.
Yeah, life is hard.
They were very, I guess, distracted, but when I was coming up, but also cool. Like so it was a good combination for me becoming a filmmaker, because they were distracted. Like, cool, Sean's doing something. He has some fucking dream he's following. Like, cool, we have a lot of other shit to worry about. Fucking mental health, addiction, seizures, lung disease, Aaron dying, all this stuff. It's just like that's when I was like really starting to pursue filmmaking, and it was great to kind of not do that with any scrutiny at all. It was literally like, yeah, do your fucking thing. We love you. We support you.
And they're still supporting you in like a very real way. And they believe in you as an artist. And like, what could be more godlike from parents than that, to like have a wook kid and be like, we love you.
I know. And I'm like, fucking have all this pot here. And like, I got them on edibles, and it's sweet. It's sweet. It's the growth that can happen. Like, I'm gonna come out of this period of our life like saying, thank God we did that. Thank God we didn't do the like immediate knee-jerk reaction of like, oh, we're losing our apartment, let's just get another dope apartment and keep the party going. To say like, let's take a fucking transitionary moment of our life. Let's try to live a little differently for a while and see how things shake out. And inevitably, we're getting more done than ever somehow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I feel like moving here put me in that mode of like, oh, we're rebuilding. Let me fucking start doing this.
Because at the old apartment, we had a cool apartment. We were like on top of the mountain.
It's really weird. And you know what I do when I'm on top of the mountain?
You smoke weed and hang out.
I do more than smoke weed. It's like girls, drugs, fucking insanity, a party that never stops. The people just keep swinging in and out, and it's like, it's not degenerate level. It feels like an ongoing celebration, but like, yeah, and I look forward to getting back to those celebratory, like, fuck yeah, awesome, and we'll have those this summer. But like, I love we're humble servants right now. Like, we're trying to rebuild our shit. We're very honest about like the way that the pandemic affected us financially, and we're rebuilding. And the only thing I've ever made money off of is my ideas. That's it. So I got to have ideas, and I have to keep that energy flowing. I have to stay in flow. That's the only thing that's ever made us money, is like coming up with something and fucking doing it, even if we don't have the resources or the reach or whatever. And all that stuff has led us to where we are now, where we're getting to make a series. We're developing a series. We shot the pilot. It's called The Family Trip. We're about to go make a film called Wild Magic, which, like as you say, I think could be our magnum opus. And it's cool that I don't have the type of parents that are like looking at me like, "What the fuck are you doing, dude?"
Yeah.
Like, it's cool because I don't even think they fully get what we're doing, but they don't question it.
Yeah. You know? I think they recognize, like my mom recognizes. She's like, "You guys are always working." Like, as much as, like, we're not, like, yeah, we're needing a little extra help, but, like, we're not just, as much as we smoke weed, we're doing it in collaboration with moving a lot of energy.
Yeah.
You know, you smoke weed so you can focus and have ideas. And
I smoke weed to allow more of a feminine spirit to take the wheel. It helps me with that. I think I would be much more Goon than God if I had never discovered weed. It kind of like showed me the way.
Yeah, there's definitely things that can bring out more of the Goon energy.
And what would that be?
Alcohol.
Alcohol? Wow. I don't think you've ever seen me be a Goon on alcohol.
No, I haven't.
I have a pretty good response to almost every mind-altering chemical.
Yeah, you don't seem affected at all. Like, some people, you put something in their system and, like, their eyes are like crazy. Damn. Like, yeah. Or you're just, I'm like that.
So is Joey. So when the three of us are rolling around together, it's like
Sean has to drive.
Yeah. Because I'm probably more fucked up than both of you, but it just doesn't look like it.
No, we're usually pretty fucked up.
Yeah. But actually, I'm thankful for that part of my personality because I do like exploring my consciousness.
It's like when you smoked the toad and you just were like, you smoked it first, 5-MeO DMT, and you just like sat there like this and just like for 5 minutes, and then came out and you're like, that was really awesome, Cassie, you're gonna love this. And then I do it and I'm like bawling my eyes out, like, yeah. And it's not like you had a different experience, you had a similar experience, but just like how you react is different, I guess.
I think the only thing I can attribute that to is I have a lot of experience with my whole world falling apart in an instant. And that's what you're inviting in with Toad. Like, the way you perceive and conceive of things is about to fucking completely be, all the scaffolding that keeps your ego up is about to fucking get hit with a tidal wave of consciousness, of pure consciousness. And it can be very scary if you don't lock into your breath and lock into your wisdom and your experience, your lived experience of having this happen in your life. You know?
Yeah, well, that's why we did psychedelics. Our psychedelic journey started together, and I did not it made me suspicious how well you responded to psychedelics. Mm-hmm. They were like, "Oh, this feels good. Like, this is right," and I was like, "This is fucked up. My world is literally melting away, and you're like zen about this." Yeah, like, this is a total restructuring of what I even think life is.
Well, you were also before your Saturn return, and I discovered psychedelics right after my Saturn return, and you discovered them right before. Like, we found them at the same time, but you're 6 years younger than me.
Yeah, I guess I wasn't as secure in myself in some ways, but also like you're saying, my world hadn't fallen apart, so that was the most significant consciousness shift I'd ever experienced.
Yeah, and there was a little bit of clinging that went on in the first handful of trips.
Yeah, like, oh, fuck, like, I'm now always on the other side of having...
It's surprising we kept doing it.
Well...
that first acid trip was insane.
But it was amazing.
Okay, yeah, that's what saved us and had us keep revisiting psychedelics, is you're an adrenaline junkie when it really comes down to it. Like, you're like, wow, okay, this is destroying my world, but fucking what a rush. I gotta try that again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was, I gotta remember, like, the digital fish, like, hopping along the wall, the portals of light and information. And
yeah. Ayla holding space for us, so beautiful and calm and mothering. And
shout out to Ayla.
Our
friends.
The first ever episode of this podcast was the
inaccessible, but maybe
it's inaccessible, but maybe we'll put it out at some point. But that episode's called The End of Greatness. And it was, we recorded it. It was our first episode. We recorded it the day before we took acid for the first time, which she gave us. The next day she came over and hit us with acid. But Ayla has been I guess I would describe her as a muse. Usually a muse is somebody that's a little bit more, I think, in the background, but like Ayla is like, she's been in 2 of our movies.
Mm-hmm.
She's like the star of Cam Girls. There's a lot of girls in there. And then we filmed her, we made a movie called Sweet Nothing where she took 2.5 tabs of acid and just melted her life. And she's such an effective communicator. It was so fascinating to film that. And yeah, she's just an endlessly controversial and fascinating figure. I think she's an important character in modern America. I think she's necessary and important. And she just got on the Lex Friedman podcast.
Yeah. Which is crazy. That's a huge podcast.
We were the first podcast she ever did.
Yeah.
Fucking crazy. Now she's on Lex Friedman.
She's awesome. She's crazy. Like,
she's crazy and awesome.
She's crazy and awesome. And I like have such respect. Like, we definitely don't see eye to eye on most things.
Yeah.
But
we're such good friends.
There's like a mutual respect.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
Yeah, it's weird. It's like, I know that she looks down on our worldview. But it's like,
but she doesn't look down on us, though.
She doesn't look down on us. Like, you know, she just has a different, more analytical way of seeing the world. And we're much more in our feels, and we've definitely butt heads a little bit. But you should butt heads with your friends. You know, you should, you know, hit moments where, you know, you're trying to help each other see things.
You and I had a big fight the other morning. Not a fight, but my mom's like, "What is going on with you two?"
What was going on? I don't even remember this.
We were having a heated conversation. We're not going to get into the details of this conversation, but we were having a heated conversation about gender identity and transgender and the drugs and just the like hormones. And we were, between us, like working out our feelings about it.
Yeah, you helped me a lot.
Oh, you helped me a lot, you know, but just see things differently and just like we both want to be like compassionate, accepting, loving people.
Yeah.
But like, especially in the safety of your friend group or your intimate groups, like you need to express and say imperfect things and talk about fears and talk about concerns and talk about all of it so that you can kind of like work it out. And because the topic should not be there shouldn't be like a bad way of talking about things, because we are learning. And if everyone's coming to the table wanting to learn and not being so attached to their idea, but being able to express themselves and then feel the reflection back. Otherwise, we'll just be in our individual silos of like, oh, well, I know everyone's crazy and I am right, you know?
Yeah. and that's happening more and more, I feel like. Like that people like digging their heels in, like, I know, you know, I couldn't possibly learn anything or evolve. And that's where you see things stagnate. And
well, I think that's where we get upset, is the idea that like, well, that's where we're just so attracted to comedians in particular, is people who will talk about these things in a way that isn't just like toting a party line or isn't like really hateful or just kind of like, what the fuck is going on? This is so crazy. Like life is so crazy.
And if something's arising those feelings in you, like, oh, I can't hear this, I can't listen to this, like, I would say that's exactly where there's work to be done. That, you know, that's exactly the type of stuff you should be exposing yourself to. And it's so easy to fall into a bubble. To the point where algorithms are pushing, the algorithms are trying to organize us by that stuff and only feeding you stuff that keeps you in your bubble. And you know, when you talk to people and you're real with them, it takes you out of your bubble. And when you're not ashamed of your opinions, but also not averse to hearing other people's and letting it evolve the way you think about things, it's so much more fun.
Yeah. And what I was trying to say to you is, I was like, I don't think we know enough people to have, not that we can't have an opinion, but to have like a full understanding of what's even going on right now with gender.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, yeah. I literally have no idea. I have a handful of examples from our life.
Like we're the old folk now.
I know.
And we listen to your parents sometimes and we're like, God, they're so behind.
Yeah.
And then that's what the younger generation's saying about us. Like, God, they're so behind.
Yeah. Yeah, but they're watching our movies, you know.
Well, their movies are not us; they're everyone. They're you know, it's not just us. It's we're.
But they are a pure expression of how we see the world.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and a young person might listen to this and be like, "God damn, they're so out of touch. They don't have the updated language. They don't have the updated software and all that razzle dazzle and shit." But we're pure-hearted motherfuckers. Give us a fucking chance here.
Well, you're acting like we said something controversial, which I don't think. I think we skidded around, so.
every fucking thing we put out, someone's up my ass about something.
Yeah.
Everything. And it just shows. It's just like how individuated we are.
Well, Ayla's like almost, I don't know if
Ayla, I feel so bad for her.
But she's such an edgelord.
She's such an edgelord and she lives for it, but the amount of negative attention that she gets, the amount of incels that she gets telling her how she should be living her life. And all I want to say to these motherfuckers is like, do you not think Ayla's having the most fun life of her lives?
Oh my God.
Are you kidding me? This girl came up in fundamentalist Christian household that she didn't even know she had a vagina until she was 18. You know, like you don't understand sheltered. You have no idea what sheltered is until you really dig into a story like that. And these incels out here judging, here's what she should be doing. She should be starting a family and using those childbearing hips to have children. And like, just shut the fuck up. Let her live her life. She's a fascinating fucking person. Stop being up in her shit. And like, I don't know. I feel for her. The internet is like so up in her shit, but I guess she also thrives on it. You know, totally. I would hate that kind of attention. I would hate that level of like mass scrutiny. I can't stand it. Mm-hmm. Like, it makes me uncomfortable for her, but she's figured out a way to thrive in that, you know.
I mean, I'm sure it's uncomfortable for her as well, but there is like, yeah, I mean, she definitely doesn't shy from it, which is admirable in some ways, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want to switch over to the Patreon?
Sure.
Cool. We're going to do part 2. We're going to do some movie reviews. I'm going to rip some dabs, and we're going to talk some more shit, maybe get a little more personal. But there's tons of bonus podcasts. If you like our podcast, there's like twice as many on the Patreon. So we've done tons of bonus podcasts and like 2-part episodes. The second part's on there. So patreon.com/churchofchill. And that's how you get access to our Discord community where everyone's making friends and lovers. And it's how you'll find out about like space camp stuff we're doing this summer and like little acid tests we do when we get together and campouts and stuff. Like, that's where all that information is. That's like that's where the tight group of homies is. So patreon.com/churchofchill. Also, get them while they're hot. Get them while they're still available. These Church of Chill shirts designed by Mare. And listen to Mare's music, Mare Bear, on Spotify. Awesome. Check her out. She's incredible. And much more to come. See you on Patreon. Peace, love, and magic. Shh.